right, then we're off and running. No pun intended. So, welcome. This is the third session that we actually had in our crawl, walk, run session. This is more running today. So, let's just jump right into it a little bit. Everybody hates expense reports, but everyone's highly motivated to submit them and get reimbursed. So, you know, what do people dislike about it? Well, I got to collect the receipts. I got to log in. I've got to go to the company system. I've got to type it in. I've got to align it to a date. It may not match a policy. What happens if I enter the wrong information from the receipt from what the total was physically on the receipt? Somebody's got to correct that. They have to send it back. What are the line items? Pain in the butt. Um, so, what happens if we actually make this easier? So today we're actually going to go through and say, hey, what if you were just out at dinner or you're flying home on the airplane and you took a photo and you just emailed it? How about expenses at insight.net or another mailbox that's actually just listening for anything to come in to start to process that information? And before a lot of people say, hey, Eugene, hey, my system already does OCR, which is optical character recognition to pull information out of that. Um, Hold on, this is AI automation. It does a lot more, so buckle up. So exactly what we built today, one email, multiple receipts, AI does the rest. So let's go over this a little bit more. What's a good use case? Why did I select this? Well, everyone has expense reports, no matter what business they are in. So it's getting that done. So I wanted to make something relatable to everybody. We know everyone's process is different. Everyone's account payable system is different. So this system will actually show you autonomous AI agents, something that's always on, it's always waiting, and it's always getting ready to process on its own and at least do the first level of approval to find out if anyone violated a policy or anything else. So this is not a chatbot. This is actually an automated flow, and we're going to show it to you in a little more. So let's actually set the stage a little more. So inside of some information I have, let's say I have some receipts that are up. I just got back, let's say last week from going to a webinar. I have dinner. I've got some sunglasses that I bought in my camera roll. I've got a ride share that I took. I've got the PDF documents that I have. I got to submit an expense report. So if you're anything like me, I would usually at dinner snap a picture really quick and I want to fire it off right then and there as opposed to waiting till the end of the week. But this system's smart enough to just go through an email, grab what's there, and start to process it. So, just for an example of what we'll go through and show today, these are some mock receipts that I actually had showing that, hey, I attended an item. It's got, once again, it looks like a place setting. This is a natural picture. Somebody's not zoomed in exactly. They don't have a glare on the screen, but it's real life. There's a lot of things in here. So, AI is going to grab this and it's actually going to pull it out. Then it's going to confirm it against some other items. So, what's going to happen right now? We have unstructured text. That usually means that's the bane of my existence. Somebody always wants to do something with unstructured information, like a picture or an Excel that's set up, or something in a Word document, or it's in a table. Um, Structured is something like it could be an Excel table, it could be an Access table, it could be a Dataverse table, it could be SQL. Something in a database has columns, has properties. Those are the things that in AI or you just computer automation, we actually want to use. We can do more with that. So we have to take that unstructured data and make it into structured data. So let's go through what our system will actually do, and then I'm going to show it to you live. So it's going to extract information from pictures that have been sent in. It'll evaluate those then against the company policy. If it rejected, it's going to explain to the user why it was rejected. And then ultimately, if it's approved and the system tells it, it's actually going to go through and it's going to wire these information to the appropriate manager or multi-stage approval, or depending on values, it'll go to different places. So this is the policy document I drew up. Just wanted people to tone in a little bit to see it here. This is a mock item that I had. You'll notice I'll go through here and I just have rules in here. And I'm not unlike a lot of yours. A lot of people have, what is your policy for expensing or not expensing? So I made some rules up that'll come into play. Don't submit anything that's over 30 days. One or more person, I'm sorry, only the named traveler and the employee should be on an item that they are expensing. You could even go through and find out what the airfare is that we're allowed to pay in maximum tickets, lodging, ride share, conferences. Notice, hey, never any personal items. But we even go through some of this document a little bit later and notice here, hey, people can't even submit or expense alcohol in any way. And I put this in here, even though it's a little bit rigid. I'm going to show you an example of this a little bit later. So AI actually, once again, policy document. These are all written with natural language like you all use. This is what AI is going to take a crack at and actually going through and doing the pre-approval or whatever your stages are. If it has to go to somebody else or somebody else after that, if it goes through multiple stages, to wire these through. So with that being said, let's fire an email actually into the system. So I've already prepared an email. I put 7 different items. And once again, some of these are JPEGs. Some of these are PNG files. I actually did include a PDF file that has the registration for everything that I did. Notice these are little pictures of parking. And once again, keep in mind, I accidentally put in here, but I won't know till later, some sunglasses that I put in here are going to be against the company policy. So all I have to do is just send it into the system that I have and let it pick up and run with that. So as we're doing that, like I said, I showed you that document that we have that is the policy. That's driven. That's everything AI is using. We're going to come back to that because that's really powerful to go over later. In this particular case, the automation and the AI that we're using is one of our friends inside of Power Platform. Once again, we could use any tool for this. We're a Microsoft shop, so it's one of the items that we have out there. And this is what a low code, no code tool looks like. If you ever wondered, notice we're not seeing command lines. You're not seeing something that's in over your head. You're seeing boxes and items that you could actually bring in and different connectors of items that you can connect to. And I can connect to Excel, or I can go to a Microsoft form, or I could go to any third-party tool. There are 1,600 connectors that are actually in Power Platform and Power Automate that you can access. And this is what a flow looks like, the one that I created. We're not going to go through too much of this, but I wanted to show you how friendly this is, where, hey, wait for an email to arrive, extract some information out, remove any inline attachments like a signature file so it doesn't try to process that. Go grab the expense policy. And then for every single attachment, it's going to grab a file. It's going to share it to somebody's OneDrive. It's going to build a thumbnail and a bunch of other items. And it's eventually going to log this even to our backend system, which is Dataverse. We even have it alerting the manager on Teams. So they don't even have to leave their application and even go to their ERP or accounts payable system to approve this to move on. So once again, more than happy to go through this. As a matter of fact, in our AI series, we may go ahead and actually show how to build some of these flows. But now that I bought a little bit of time, that email that just came through just hit. It started going through these and crunching on it. So let's go to the first item. So that item that we talked about in here, notice this is Microsoft Teams. So what happened as of this point? Well, we talked about the system actually got that first receipt. It extracted all of the information out. It provided me a quick picture that I could click and go to where that resides in a central location. So it's out of emails. You don't have to chase that anymore. We have it centralized. Notice it's already able to pull out the vendor, the receipt date, classified the category. The payment on here, it couldn't figure out. Doesn't know if it was cash or anything else, but you'll see some examples later where it does that. It got a subtotal, got the tax, it's got total information. And then ultimately, well, this item was rejected. Remember, what we did was send this into the system and it extracted all of these line items, and then it evaluated these against our policy. And in here, notice, it was rejected because the alcohol items were actually in here, and according to the policy, any receipt containing that is automatically rejected in full. If your policy says it would have to go to manager approval, you could do that as well. If your policy says just remove those line items on behalf of the user and advance this, you could write that as well. Let's scroll down a little more. So that was a good example of an item that was, according to our policy, flat out rejected. Me as the user that submitted it.
That's off of a picture, everybody. The user sent a picture. Actually, lots of pictures, which I want to talk about that in a little bit, Eugene, but keep going. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just really excited.
No problem. And we're going to get to how this makes sense in this. We have a bunch of other applications. Let's go to the other ones that were included. So in this one, hey, notice we're airline receipt. And we know those rules. And it looked it up and it actually pulled out. Notice this one, it noticed it was Amex. It was able to pull that information out. So all of this, it's abstracting, it's grabbing information, it's even putting in notes into the system for you if your system accepts notes. And you could tell it with instructions, the AI, what you would like or what you want it to pull out, what you want it to ignore, or what you want it to pay special attention to. And then ultimately, I set myself as my manager. It's always nice to approve my own expense reports, but imagine I'm the manager. I didn't even have to leave Microsoft Teams in this case because our policy says our managers will approve it within Teams, but they can get this in an email. They could get it in Teams. They could get it through any media, through a text message, whatever medium they want. Ours is just, hey, someone's going to approve it here. Approved. Next time, Michelle says I can get first class.
Sure, she will. Right after she gets it.
Notice it's going to thank me as the manager in this case, and I know I'm playing two roles, the submitter and the manager, but this is how it would work.
That's what we do in dev. We wear multiple hats.
Yeah. Notice it
in dev. It gets a little bit like in the development, like outside of that, we don't. Just to be clear with everybody.
No.
It took that information. It actually went back. And once again, I want to take a second. What are you not seeing behind the scenes? Well, remember the system that I'm logging this to, and this could be any system. It could be Excel. It could be your AP system. It could be anything else. But if I were to refresh some of the data in here, you'll now see items from the 26th, which is today, of all of these. And this is the line item. We have two tables. And I don't want to get into too many technical things, but we're actually extracting each one of these out and finding out if they're flagged or they have different issues. So you can even notice the line items are getting flagged on an individual level. And the AI is even writing into here why it was a policy violation because it knew, hey, as soon as somebody had in that receipt, you have a cab? Great. This is alcohol that's not allowed. And it's flagging all of this for me. It's even tracking everything. And then the overall expense layer, one-to-many relationship between the line items and the master item, those are all put in here as well. And it's putting those in. It's pulling in what was the total, the tax. Eventually, as we approve these, it's going to come back and mark them. What were the manager's comments? What was the time and the date? This can go into any system that you have. It doesn't have to be Dataverse. Long as
Hey, Eugene, somebody asked in the chat, the AI engine that you're using in here, it's not really Copilot Studio. It's not really ChatGPT or Claude or any of those flavors. What flavor of AI are you using to do this?
Good question. Believe it or not, in this particular one, we are using a Microsoft tool. So let me actually bring that back up and I'll show it to you quickly. The one that actually does the intelligence is called, let's see, we'll go through the list. Just run a prompt. Inside of this run a prompt, inside of Microsoft, I have the option of giving it a pre-configured prompt, or in this one, I gave it. And notice when I'm feeding this prompt, hey, here was that file, that image file. I'm going to give this to you and you're going to give me information back. So if I were to actually go into one of the calls, because this does multiple AI calls, just first extracting the information and then another one analyzing it and another one routing it. So we have AI with multiple places. And I know this is a little hard to read. Let me make it bigger. Don't go too glossy eyed here, but I'm actually saying, hey, in natural language, I'm telling it what to do. You're an expense analyzer. You're giving this image or PDF. Your job is to determine if it's valid. So once again, good prompt engineering. Remember back at crawl, that actually kind of plays here. And now I'm telling it what to do. Use this structure, which basically comes back. Remember all those fields that it had? I told it, hey, go out and do these. But what you're looking for here in the upper right-hand corner, I'm allowed to pick whatever model I want inside of this. And notice, if anyone knows, hey, I'm using GPT-4.1 here, I could actually have it pick Claude. I could have it pick GPT-4. Use the right model for the right task. Otherwise, you're overpaying. I wouldn't want to use GPT-5 reasoning for just look at this image and extract information out. But a little later, when it's analyzing your rules, you may want it to actually have some of the information in there, use reasoning for how it arrived at those.
But the model, it's so, I mean, obviously it's Power BI combined with, or sorry, Power Apps combined with Power Automate, all that. And does that use the AI builder token things inside of Power Automate then? And then, so the object itself called into the Power Automate, then you define the language you want to use with it.
Correct.
Got it.
The items that we actually have there, remember, AI is not free to use. Somebody has a $20 subscription, or every iteration you send it through with an API command. The currency in AI is tokens. So, give you a quick hint. When I put one of these in, it cost me 0.7 tokens. And usually your tokens are bought per model and they cost so much. I don't want to make you go glossy eyed, but it cost us 1/7 a single token to do this extraction. And with this low model, I think I could use over 1 million and would only cost $5 or $6. So that gives you an idea of how many we could go through with your standard tenant. And if you need more tokens, you could buy add-on packs. So no problem there. Microsoft has you covered.
Thank you. Sorry to sidebar you.
Since Michelle interrupted you, I'm going to interrupt you too. But it's a question I want to direct at Brian. Brian, you were talking earlier about personal use of GPTs, right? Can you? I think this might be a great place for you to strike a contrast. What makes what we're looking at here safer?
So what we're looking at here is going to be interfacing not with the chat that we would purchase either free or paid for business class. This is interfacing with what we call an API. And in this case, it's with Microsoft. And so Microsoft has thousands of AI models that we can use that are purpose built for a particular task. There could, like, an example might be one that does that's able to extract invoices really well. Another could be conversational. Another could be image. Another one could be audio to text. So they have a number of different models, and all of those models are under that Microsoft privacy umbrella as well.
That's where I was going to go. So it sounds like what you're saying is that this might be less likely to make poor Stephen Hicks's head explode.
I
Oh,
think
well,
he
in
would
that case, we
be
should do the
okay with
opposite.
it.
You think he'd be okay? I mean, his head might explode anyway, just because he's so busy. But it's vastly safer.
Correct.
Nothing's perfect, and Stephen will be the first one to tell you nothing's perfect. But it's vastly safer from a privacy and from a security boundaries perspective.
Different use case too is what I'll say. This use case is very much orchestration. It's flow. Eugene is doing a great job of showing like what this could look like for expenses, but really imagine anything that you do over and over again as a process. This would be how we would do that intelligence layer for that. We wouldn't use ChatGPT. We wouldn't use Claude, the chatting version of it. We would interface with the API, and we might use those same models, but they would be from the API under that Microsoft umbrella.
Thanks, Brian. And I'm sorry, Eugene.
Thank you, Eugene. I appreciate it.
Let me switch back and I'll wrap up a couple items here, and then we'll get to a Q&A. So ultimately in here, one thing to note, and I tried to highlight it before, as soon as we have, and once again, don't get glossy-eyed, I don't want to lose anybody, but AI Foundry, as Brian had alluded to, has over 11,000 models. So you could use any one that you'd like in there that's actually supported.
I have decision paralysis just from this list.
Yeah. When in doubt, let us know, because you don't want to overpay for the LLM for the usage that it actually does. Picking a smarter model doesn't necessarily get better results. A better prompt gets better results.
Oh, that's a good point.
So going through here, let me just wrap up. You notice we're iterating through these. Hey, this was the PDF document. Notice it's even grabbing that receipt, pulling information in, comparing it, even breaking out that we even got a $100 gift card somewhere in here for signing up early. And no, you're not getting that. That was mine. So it'll go through here. We'll advance to a couple more. As this is going through, let me just wrap up, give you some of the big takeaways today. So ultimately, we're showing how this integrates with Teams and Outlook and a couple other items. But ultimately, we're logging these decisions inside of Dataverse. But again, accounts payable. There's either a connector to it that I can log to your system directly, or if there's an API, we can actually write a custom connector that connects to it on behalf of it. So imagine user never even has to log into that system to submit it or approve it. It can actually be done natively where you're at right now.
We'll take it one extraction layer. If we have access to the financial system where expenses are actually recorded and sent into the accounts payable, accounts receivable system, on manager approval just through Teams, it automatically goes in and skips the whole finance having to deal with crappy receipts that have beer stains on them.
Correct. Now, it's not going to make a better picture, a poor picture better. So once again, there's just,
Fair.
but hey, ultimately at the end of the day, let me give you the ROI. Why am I doing all this? So, hey, I told you everything's being evaluated against a policy document. So different roles, different categories, different anything else. You probably have these. Here's the one I want you to focus on. So imagine next week your policy changes. You're not paying a developer to come in here and actually write all of your business rules and recode them and retest them. You just point the model to the new policy. And the next time somebody sends something in, it's evaluating it immediately, including the routing rules or multi-stages or who it should go to if it's over a certain amount that needs manager approval. That's all actually put in there. You're letting the AI extract that information and send it on. So if that's not ROI, I don't know what is. Ultimately, hey, thanks for attending. Jason, we're going to transition this back to Jason. If you ever have any questions of how this AI could work for you on your behalf or anything, hey, let us know. But again, this was just one example. This could be used in a number of different use cases, including in, going beyond, hey, invoice validation, contract compliance, any document intake or workflow. All of this applies. This was just a simple example for somebody to, oh, wow, I've got an idea of how to do this and how much time will this save? How much efficiencies will be gained from somebody not even having to leave the system, or entering the wrong information or sending it to the wrong person. So once again, look at it from the total aspect of total ROI and what it's saving on behalf of your users and you're gaining in accuracy.